City officials had quite a night after parts of Sioux Falls picked up more than 7 inches of rain. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Jill Johnson. It's being described as the biggest flooding situation in the city of Sioux Falls since 2004. The rippling of the panels on the new event center in Sioux Falls still has not been fixed. We'll tell you why the city is taking legal action next. Authorities believe the homicide took place in fall of 1999, but it wasn't until early 2000 that the remains were found in rural Lawrence County. A local paramedic has been fired after police say he stole from someone while out on a call. 18 years after Ella Beth was reported missing, more of her credit cards were found, this time in a hole along the banks of the Big Sioux River. Like it or not, the Keystone XL pipeline could soon be making its way through South Dakota. I'll show you what that could look like coming up. The snow is a welcome surprise to at least one area business. Great Bear Recreation Park is back open and almost fully operational. KDLT's Andrea Anderson hit the slopes this afternoon. She joins us now with more. Megan, it was here that the jury was narrowed down from 16 jurors to 12 this afternoon. It's been about 3.5 hours since the group of 9 women and 3 men began deliberating. This is what they heard before they left the courtroom to decide Joseph Patterson's fate. Authorities say at many of them, he threatened the clerk with a gun and demanded cash. After 5 incidents in less than a month, he was finally caught. Police continue to look for the suspects in a hit-and-run crash that happened at this intersection, but now they have surveillance footage to go off of. Dan says he pulled over. He says by then things were already in progress. That's when he called 911.
KDLT's Jill Johnson has been at the budget address today, and she joins us now with more. Jill?
Yeah, Tom, it's about $64 million more than the budget this year. Mayor Mike Huether says while he wants to do more of the same next year, he wants to stay ahead of growth and tackle the tough issues. These have been the topic of discussion for over a year now. City officials have said the bulging doesn't mean there are any structural issues with the Premier Center. Still, they want them fixed. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Jill Johnson. We're more than 8 hours into our second major snowfall in a week. Sometimes criminals will try to hide the drugs inside something. Or because marijuana is so light, police say they'll also try to add something else to the package. Remember, the state has the burden of proof in this case. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Joseph Patterson killed Tyrese Ruffin. Reporting live in Canton, Jill Johnson, KDLT News. Yeah, Tom and Kelsey, police say one of the victims has life-threatening injuries and the other is doing better, talking to officers today. We do need the rain, but it's comfortable at the fair. And Gary Allen,
yes,
I would love to go to that.
He's fantastic. You got to check it out.
I've never seen him. It's one of the only ones I haven't seen, I feel like.
Get out there, 8 o'clock.
I know, 8 o'clock. That's past my bedtime, though. All right, thanks, Brandon.
You bet.
Well, coming up on KDLT News, pepper spray or mace takes a while to take effect, anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. Police say during that time, anything could happen. Oh, I did pass all 8 simulations, but Tom, they're a lot tougher than some people think. Well, Brandon, 2 storms in less than a week. Hopefully this one's wrapping up.
Yeah, and several storms in the last 39 days.
Now, in those court documents, Knutson told police that he's aware that child pornography is morally wrong. Also a part of the mayor's proposed budget, building a downtown parking ramp and putting more than $10 million into a new park. Tom, he also wants to invest in affordable housing projects.
All right, thanks, Jill.
It's day 2 in the murder trial involving Joseph Patterson. We'll tell you what medical experts had to say about the victim's injuries.
So your Sioux Falls champion.
Now, this is my purse, which is practically a suitcase, you guys, so it's way too big. Now, they will be searched as you go through the metal detectors, and Tom, I'm sure you won't have that problem. What started as a class project for 2 Florida students has become a social media sensation. A short animated film about a same-gender crush has gone viral. After more than a decade, they hope to bring justice to the family, whoever that may be. Reporting live in Lawrence County, Jill Johnson, KDLT News.
Police say the arsons could be connected. They happened within hours of each other and in the same area of town. KDLT's Jill Johnson talked to one of the victims today who is still in shock about how this happened to her.
My son came in the house and screamed, "Mom, Mom, Dad, get up, your truck's on fire."
It was early Sunday morning when Linda Dykes and her husband Rob first saw their truck on fire.
The flames rolled up over the top, and when those door things fell out. There was flames shooting out of it. But yeah, there's nothing is left in there. Nothing.
Linda says her son Corey was watching TV when he heard a car door slam outside their home near West Baker Park Drive and Holbrook Avenue. When he looked outside, she says one of their car doors was open and he saw a flash out of the corner of his eye.
That was hot and it was fast. Just.
Linda says she couldn't sleep the rest of the night, thinking that her family had been personally targeted. It wasn't until later that she found out the same thing happened just blocks away. Police say hours later, just after 9 a.m., they responded to another car fire on West 53rd Street near Blue Stem Avenue. Police say the car's interior was lit on fire, and they found a plastic gas container on the roadway right in front of the vehicle.
Having two in the same area of town during the same evening, it's very easy for us to lean in the direction that these two are going to be related.
While Linda says they're happy no one was hurt, they still can't figure out why.
Destroying other people's property. You know, I don't know what to make of it. I honestly don't know what to make of it.
Linda says that they have video footage of a white four-door car that was driven close to their truck and what appears to be a flash as it passed by. Police haven't confirmed whether the car is tied to the arsons.
It's brutality and grace all at the same time with it. It's like this weird magical thing. It's hard to describe.
Ooh, good hit.
For Eli Clements, his love for the game of football started in 5th grade.
Come on.
Now he's passing that love onto his son.
It teaches things you sometimes can't learn in the classroom.
But that doesn't mean he doesn't worry about what could happen on the field. That's why he's on board with the YMCA's decision.
So replay first down.
As much as I don't like it, I agree with it 100%.
Here it comes.
The Y in Sioux City will no longer offer tackle football.
Jocelyn, woo!
We've been really following the research and the studies coming out and just finally came to the conclusion that for the safety of kids, we needed to no longer offer that program.
The YMCA says they worry about the possibility of concussions and the problems repetitive head impacts can cause later in life.
First down, baby.
I think anytime we can make a better choice for families or help them make a better choice, that's what we're going to do.
But the head of another youth football program says it's important to give them that choice.
It really doesn't matter if it's tackle or flag. We want to offer both.
The president of South Dakota Junior Football says he would hate for leagues to base their decision on the wrong research.
So often with the kind of the fear factor right now is analyzing and looking at NFL players. It's just extremely important though to go ahead and look at the research and the data that applies to who you're serving.
Ken Sproul says they not only look at the research regarding youth, they're a part of it. The organization has been working with Sanford Health for 4 seasons, measuring head impact exposure in about 20 7th and 8th grade players.
Inside we have 6 impact sensors, and these impact sensors allow us to measure head impacts every time the helmet gets hit by another player or the ground.
Dr. Thane Muntz says sensors measure how many times a player takes a hit, where, and how hard.
50% of all impacts are less than 20 G. But we do see impacts as high as 150 to even 175 G forces.
They found that the hits middle school players take are just as hard, but they experience about half as many as high school players.
Over the course of a season, the typical middle school player gets hit in the head about 250 to 275 times per season, and that breaks down to about 8 to 12 impacts per game or practice.
What they are trying to find out is whether there's a threshold that causes injury. And so far, that's been pretty elusive. However, Muntz says they've only seen 6 concussions.
Parents should be aware and they should be informed, but I don't think there's any reason why they need to be scared about putting their players in junior football at this stage.
Come on, guys.
Whether programs decide to make a change, the YMCA says they just want to spur discussion. And so far, it's made headlines in huddles across the nation.
For many, collecting sports cards was a hobby as a kid, but one Sioux Falls man looks at thousands of them each and every day.
You could even say they've given him more of a purpose in life. KDLT's Jill Johnson tells us why Matt Jacobson is someone you should know.
one pile at a time. Cards are transferred left to right, then into a box.
Baseball, football, basketball, hockey.
Each day for several hours a day. 31-year-old Matt Jacobson sorts sports cards for Triple Play. Matt started working for the business on a temporary basis after Dennis Warden got a call from Community Campus in 2005. Dennis, who has a sister with Down syndrome, was happy to say yes.
After the 2 weeks were done, I asked, well, what can I do to keep him here?
Matt has been coming back to work ever since.
He's a goal setter. He sets goals, how many cards he wants to get sorted every day. Everybody, if given a chance, no matter who they are, has things that they're good at.
Matt's not just good at sorting cards, he's one of the best. Dennis estimates that around 3 million have gone through his hands.
I know there's other people in the world that have sorted more, but he's probably in the top 10 in the world of number of cards sorted.
While he may be setting records,
I do the whole thing all by myself.
It's nothing compared to the personality Matt brings to the store.
Matt's really good with customers. He's friendly. He knows their names. He remembers where he met them.
Matt loves talking sports with them, putting him just in the right place.
Jordan Nelson, I like him, and Randall Cobb, and I like those guys.
Brett Favre is his favorite.
I don't like it because he goes to Vikings, and I want him to stay at Green Bay. It's the best team forever.
You don't have to ask Matt to know that his job gives him purpose. But if you do, the answer is always the same.
I love it.
The same answer that he gave 12 years ago. Something not everyone can say. In Sioux Falls, Jill Johnson, KDLT News.
Matt also helps out the University of Sioux Falls football team and has excelled with the Special Olympics. He even represented the United States in China, where he won a silver medal in swimming. A woman is behind bars after police say she left her toddler unattended in a running car. Sioux Falls police say the child was in a vehicle for at least an hour before a concerned citizen stepped in to help. KDLT's Jill Johnson talks with the woman who rescued the little girl about why she did it.
Shelby Hammett says she was making dinner at around 9:30 when a woman came barging into her apartment.
She took off her shoes, made herself at home, and then turned and looked at me, said some vulgar words, and then walked out.
Hammett went to grab her phone to call police, but the woman was gone. She says it wasn't long after when she heard crying coming from a vehicle in the parking lot. She says a child around 15 months to 2 years old was inside. Her parents nowhere to be found.
Do I open this vehicle door to get this baby out, or do I just call the cops and wait? My parents' side kicked in.
The vehicle was running and the driver's side door unlocked when Hammett says she took the girl from the car.
She wasn't strapped in. She was very soaking wet, very scared. The only thing that she had with her was her clothes and a pacifier.
Hammett says police found the girl's mother, 30-year-old Constance Von Dern, 2 hours later when she returned to the complex in another vehicle.
First thing that came out of her mouth was, "That's not my baby."
Hammett says the person with Von Dern admitted that it was, and a relative eventually came to pick her up. By that time, the child had been with Hammett for around 5 hours.
She left with a new pair of jammies and a cup and belly full of Cheetos, so.
Hammett says based on how she found the little girl, she didn't want to give her up.
From a parent standpoint, it's bittersweet, I guess.
Hammett says neighbors saw the car running in the parking lot as early as 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Police say Hammett did the right thing. Kevin Lean says the years he spent coaching women's basketball at Dakota Wesleyan University was a special time in his life, and he had a special relationship with the girls.
Because of what he expected out of us, I guess it just grew us all as a family.
But it was unique too. The women say one time he had them wear prom dresses in a field near Cabela's. When writing them emails, he would address them as princesses of the prairie. He also made them wear cutoff t-shirts and flannel pajama pants.
Being college girls, we're not very excited about wearing these hideous warm-ups.
Getting warmed up means getting warmed up, so we wore flannel instead of the other things.
But last week, the women received shocking news. Their former coach had been shot. After learning he was going to be okay, they say they wanted to show support.
We wanted to just kind of, lighten the mood if you can in a situation like this.
On Saturday, he received nothing other than a cut-off t-shirt that read "Bulletproof" in capital letters from none other than the princesses of the prairie. He got some flannel pajama pants, too.
They're a special group of girls, and they also understand perspective, that every moment's precious.
While they can now joke about what happened, they say it reminds them to cherish family. And despite having families of their own, their coach will always be a part of theirs, which means a whole lot to him.
Everything. Just everything. I mean, I've been, you can't imagine how I've been blessed in my life. Knowing that these guys are having great lives makes my life that much more rich.
A rural Lennox man is dead following a house fire early yesterday morning.
Authorities were called to the home about 2 miles west of Lennox at around 1 o'clock. KDLT's Jill Johnson spoke with Martha Poppinga, who just lost her husband of nearly 30 years.
My husband was going to watch the news and then come to bed. He never made it.
Martha Poppinga says she fell asleep at around 10 o'clock Monday night. She woke up to the smell of smoke about 3 hours later.
An ungodly stink. Nothing I'd ever smelt before.
Martha says she could see flames and called 911. She says she could vaguely see her husband in the living room. Martha called Gary's name several times, but he never answered. At that point, she says she needed to get out.
I went out the door in my nightgown and a blanket that was on the porch. No shoes, no socks, no nothing. The fire marshal said he didn't know how I made it out alive.
Waiting for the fire department to arrive, Martha prayed that he died before the fire got to him.
You can see how black the soot is on the curtain up above.
Fire departments from Chancellor, Parker, and Lennox responded to the scene. They say the fire was knocked down quickly, but by the time firefighters reached her husband, it was clear that he was gone.
He was my life.
Your best friend?
Yeah. It's the only way I can put it. We'd been through a lot together.
Martha says Gary was an avid outdoorsman, but lost his leg a few years ago and was bound to a wheelchair. Not only did the fire claim his life, it destroyed his childhood home.
I've lost my home and all the contents.
The fire marshal found Gary's wedding ring, but the one that matches Martha's will likely never be recovered. She says it's hard to go back inside. The smell is just too overwhelming.
It took his life. That smell took his life.